Hey everybody, Thomas here. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, but as you can see, it's extremely foggy this time of year down here in southern Mississippi. When the temperatures is trying to figure out what's going on, because it was last week we had freezing temperatures. This week we almost got up to 80 degrees yesterday, which is absolutely insane. Got a mess out here right now, but I've actually got to go with the kids here shortly. We're going to do a scouting event. We're going to be planting trees in the park down in Lucedale, Mississippi. Lucedale, Mississippi, if you didn't know, got hit pretty hard by Hurricane Zeta this year, or last year, 2020, and they lost somewhere in the neighborhood of like 50 trees in the park. So I guess the agriculture department and a few other departments in Lucedale, we are actually doing some tree planting stuff to try to revitalize the park for future generations. There's 80 or 90 trees we're going to be planting of all different species, so that's pretty interesting. And before we go there, I want to see if I can go ahead and cut up this log right here. So this log right here is pretty interesting. This is beech that we got up from our property up in Tennessee. My dad wanted me to bring this down here, but check out that spalt in the grain there. He actually had someone that was looking for the targets that you throw axes at, and they said they like beech for whatever reason. And when my dad cut this with a chainsaw, he's like, holy crap, because this tree had been sitting up there for a while. But when he cut it with the chainsaw, he's like, Tommy, you've got to cut this thing. So long story short, I got it here on the mill. I'm going to try to get this cut prior to leaving to go to the tree planting thing this morning, and I think I should be able to do that. One thing I've got to do is I'm going to do a blade change out and go from there. This dog keeps on hitting the camera, but I'm gonna do a blade change out. I'll throw on a time lapse, and then I'll do a couple of the cuts real time as well, to see what it looks like. But I think this is gonna be quite beautiful. The wood itself is very hard. I don't see or feel any soft spots. I mean, beech is a hard wood. I mean, that's pretty hard. These dogs are all over the place. So yeah, looking forward to getting this thing cut up, and then I'll have to put this up. Yesterday I also did cut some poplar for Mr. Robert when he came over. There's some poplar that a friend of his, I guess, gave to him, and he gave me a couple slabs out of it. He's making some shelvings, but I thought this was pretty cool because it does have some interesting colors and stuff, and like this reddish color throughout it, and just some interesting pieces. I also cut some maple, which actually I've already put it up, but you've got these little scrap pieces right here. And I did cut some oak, which is what is currently right there. Now this was one of the smaller logs. I had to cut that off because the log had such a huge bend in it. And I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with that, or if I'm just going to donate to my buddy down the road who does, he makes firewood and everything. That might be a firewood piece. I might be able to get a mantle out of there, but I get plenty of mantles out of everything else. And oak's typically not something that people want to mantle out of down here. All right, so let me get working on this. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in a time lapse. I'll change out the blade. We'll do a couple cuts, get it all nice and pretty, and then I'll save the last really nice cuts for the actual real-time cutting. So stay tuned. We'll see you. So this is coming out absolutely beautiful. You can see the spalt that's in here is insane. It's very, very beautiful. I am very happy I did not let this go any further. Just gorgeous. That right there. Now there is a little bit of bug damage right there, but I don't see anything active in here. This is gorgeous, and it's only going to get better, I believe, as we go into this log. There's some light undertones of colors in there, some grays, blues, pinks, oranges. It's kind of weird. It's very similar in the way that the ash that I cut up looked. Like, so I cut up some spalted ash a while back, and this looked very similar to that. I want to go ahead and keep the video on. Now this wood is extremely dry. I have no idea how old this log was or how long it had been sitting, and the orientation it had been sitting at my parents' house, but we're probably talking in the neighborhood of like 3-4 years maybe. But it's been kept up off the ground, and it's really beautiful. I'm very surprised, but it's like bone dry. It cuts much like what cedar would cut like. I'm running a little bit of water on, not a whole lot and everything. I'm hearing a little bit of blade noise because of how dry the wood is. I'm gonna do a couple cuts real quick so you can see how this is cutting. It sounds great. Now the blade I have on here is a blade that has literally been sharpened like 5 times. I've actually blown up 3 blades this week. I'm getting towards the end of the life of some of these blades. Once I do this wider cut towards the bottom, we'll see if I have any blade blow up. I don't think I will. I've been pretty good at, once a blade starts to go, I notice a little bit of difference in the tune, and then I'm like, well, let me just do one more cut, and usually that one more cut ends up within the first 3 inches of the log. It'll blow up on me, so I need to stop whenever I hear that, but we'll see. It's cutting well. Let's go. But the smell of the wood changed smell. It went from being pretty much like a dry, woody smell to a wet, fermented smell. So I'm gonna see, and also I heard a weird tick. I didn't get the nail, but it sounded like a piece of bark flying off. Probably the outside of the wood was drier, and then once I got to the inner side of the wood, I can definitely feel it. It's got more moisture to it, which makes sense because it takes longer to dry the inside of the wood. But I can notice a definite smell change of the wood while it's cutting. And not to be too repetitive, but boy, this is beautiful. I mean, very, very crisp lines of spalt. I think it's very, very pretty looking. Ooh, that's, come on. Yeah, it's got a really strong smell right through here. I mean, it smells like a wine mixed with nuts. I don't know, interesting. Definitely has a lot of moisture right here, and you can see there's a color change too. You're starting to get more towards that light amber, creamy, off-white color. I like that. But you still have the bluing like here you'd see in pine with some spalt. I think this is going to be absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. Right now, I'm going to say roughly 18 inches across. I think my widest cuts, I might get close to the 2-foot mark once I get out towards this rounded section. But pretty impressive thus far. I've never cut beech. This is the first, so I'm going to put this in my first time cutting types of wood series. And a lot of unique spalt. I mean, I'm just blown away at the way this looks. I'm going to throw it back onto the time lapse and everything, and then we'll look at the wood at the end and kind of see what we're doing. And also, all these cuts previously have been 1.5 inches. Now that I'm getting to the wider cuts, I'm going to transition to 2 inches. Now, I'm not going by the computer right now. I'm actually going by the scale, because when I'm on an 1.5 inch cut, you know, using the computer and everything, I go 9 5/8, and then my next cut will be at 8 inches. So what I've been doing here recently is I've been saving, okay, so 8 inches, and I go 6, 4, and 2. So it works out really well, and I don't have to worry about changing my computer and everything. And also, I'm not really concerned about the kerf of the blade, because again, I'm trying to maximize the cuts. If I did the kerf of the blade, I'd have some weird off cut off the top of this, and I'm not going to worry with that. So I'm just going to do it manually for the last few cuts here and go from there. Well, this turned out to be pretty amazing looking. Now, this is around the pith. That is absolutely just beautiful looking. I mean, crazy, crazy grain. Now, this is essentially all quarter sawn because we are around the pith. Got really nice straight grains going on right there. A little bit of medullary flecking and the medullary rays there. I mean, these slabs, and definitely, again, the ones towards the center, that's where the moisture was. So we'll see how these slabs hold up. But again, check out the flecking. It's pretty nice. I think that'll look really nice around the edges. The blade was cutting well. A little bit of chatter across there, but I think what I did is I had a tooth or so that might have been a little bit high, but really I only saw that in the wide cuts. This slab here, it's just beautiful. I mean, you have the gray colors, a little bit of hint of orange, some more, I don't know, almost bluish colors, some lighter reds and oranges, almost like a whitish color, and then you get like bluing, what you'd see in pine. The sawdust, and there's actually some green down here too, which is interesting. But the sawdust is kind of a grayish color. I thought that was interesting. Overall, pretty happy with these look. I need to get these stickered and stacked, and throwing them into the barn, and come back and see them in, say, a year or so and see what they're looking like. Actually, I'd probably run a moisture meter on some of the outside ones because they, again, felt really dry. Wouldn't surprise me if they're probably in the 20% range. Now these inner ones here, they feel pretty wet, so they're probably 30+%. But we'll see. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like I got about 9 slabs off of this tree. I I mean, right there, you can see there's a little bit of almost like reddish color. I think that's pretty interesting. And it's really, I love this. You go from like this creamy color to like really blue gray, like you would see in pine. That is a awesome transition right there. And then you continue that down the length of this. Now that probably indicates that this side of the log was on the ground for a while, or something was holding moisture there to promote more fungal growth or something like that. And it's also the exterior, of course, but, and then this piece right here, same kind of thing. It has a lot of the bluing. So I am really excited about working with these slabs. I don't know much about beech other than my parents actually have some hardwood floor made out of beech. We haven't installed it yet. It's going to go into the living quarters in the barn up in Tennessee. But I do know beech is very hard. It typically does split very well because it is a straight grain. I do not believe this is interlocking grain. And I know people would make, if I'm not mistaken, the big butcher blocks and stuff out of beech. So I have to find out exactly the best application for this. But, you know, I'm probably gonna make these into tables because they're just gonna be so gorgeous. The 1.5 pieces, I'll probably make into some benches and then some really nice big charcuterie boards, or even say centerpieces for some tables. So these ones are nice. Not gonna lie, these ones are pretty nice. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe. We got the channels growing today as I film this. Any second now, we should be going over 500,000 views on the channel. So that's pretty awesome. 500,000 views. So I guess someone out there likes to hear me talking. And as y'all know, I do like to talk a lot, and that's kind of like my thing. I'm very passionate about cutting wood, very passionate about sawmills, very passionate about tractors, really passionate about anything outdoors. The farming stuff, we're trying to put some more videos on there about the goats. Did some disbudding videos the other day. We're gonna do some milking videos. Also go over making cheese, making ice cream, making whatever else out of, soap out of goat milk. And then going over more of the sawmill. So again, subscribe to the channel. Every 2 weeks I'm trying to do searching for sawmills, new episodes on that. We also have the buildup of the 1220 sawmill. We've got the extension going on there, and we also have the kiln that we're working on. The kiln is all prototype stuff. We're just playing around with it, see what we can do. So we're seeing. We're trying to keep the channel really interesting. There's a lot of build stuff going on. Also have, of course, my building, which I'm always working on. Started it last April. This April will be 1 year. But I'm a one-man show, so I'm making some pretty good progress on this. Also, we have the extension on the back of the house I'm doing because I can't keep enough projects on hand. I'm not kidding y'all, I probably have like 5 or 6 projects going at any given point. And that's why I seem kind of scatterbrained, because I'm literally doing this, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to do in the next project and how I'm going to finish this up. Because as the clock ticks down, I may only have about 1.5 years left in this location before I go to my next location. Needs the Navy and everything, and we'll see. I'm hoping for one location. We'll see what I go to next. It's going to be exciting, though. It's always exciting. Never knowing where you're going. Stay tuned. We'll see you around. Please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We'll see you.